So I've had this old headboard for a while and I've been wanting to make a faux fireplace out of it. So that is the project I'm going to do now. It's got the headboard and the footboard. I'm going to use the headboard for the top part of the mantel. The footboard is going to be the mantel piece. I'm going to use some of the legs and decorative pieces, probably cut in half. I've got some beadboard that I might use if I decide to put something in the middle of the fireplace opening. I've got this old shelf that's got these bracket holders that I'm going to take off of here and use to hold the mantel piece up on the fireplace. Got some other pieces of wood here that I may use. Kind of have to see as I get going with the project. This thick piece might be used for the bottom part if I want to do something for it to stand on. Then I've got some old decorative trim that I'm probably going to use somewhere also. And maybe a few other things. I'll let you know as it progresses. But I'm excited. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Hopefully this gives you some ideas for something that you can do to make a faux fireplace. The first thing we needed to do was to get the posts off of the headboard and footboard. We tried knocking them off, but they wouldn't come off. So Brian got out his jigsaw and cut the pieces off that we needed to, so it would be ready to begin putting together. It came off pretty easy with the jigsaw. Had to do both sides and the footboard. This was a nice headboard to use. Then we needed to cut it even on the ends of the headboard, which would be the main part of our mantel. So he used his chop saw for that. I couldn't do this without my hubby. He is the power tool guy. I have the idea and then he helps me put it together, so I really appreciate that. Got it even. Then it was time to take the footboard part of which was going to be the mantel, and put it on the headboard. Seeing how it looks, where we want it to be. He's going to need to trim a little bit off of the ends first, and then he was going to measure it. First he was going to get it even, then we'll measure it. Which after I believe he cut those pieces off, it was the same width anyway, because they were the headboard and footboard that came together. I love the decorative details on this bed. It's going to turn out really nice. Now we're laying it out, seeing what our plan is going to be. We have the post, and we're going to need to cut it off a little bit at the top where Brian was pointing, and then a little bit at the bottom. Then you see the boards that we have underneath. Those will need to be trimmed as well. We're just kind of laying it out to get our plan and our idea. Then we have this big thick board that we're going to use on the bottom for a base to help it stand up. It's going to look really nice. Look how cute that decorative piece is for the mantel shelf. Just a matter of cutting the rest of the pieces up, and then we'll need to put it together. I think it's going to turn out really cute. So here he is cutting the posts, cutting a little bit off the top to make it flat so it will be flush up against the mantelpiece, the mantel shelf. You need to trim it just a little bit more. We have everything cut. Cut the little base out of this thick wood. use the footboard for these pillars. It's the headboard. And this was the footboard piece that we cut off for the mantle. Nothing's put together yet, just putting it together. These little pieces were board that was from the headboard. Cut those so that they can go underneath, right in here to make it flush. And then we'll probably put a little piece of molding along there. So it looks like we're ready to start putting it together. It's turning out beautiful. I love it. Now it's time to attach the mantelpiece to the top of the mantel. So first Brian drilled holes in through both because it was thick, and then he used his drill to add screws. We had to hold it up. I had to help him hold it up, make sure it was in place. Just make sure you're putting your screws in the right place so they go into the mantel. He measured. I helped him hold it together so we could do it right. Screws are the best things to use when you're putting pieces like this together. Holds it better than nails or staples. It's just too thick for those. So there it is. I like it. It's looking very nice. Next step is to put the side pieces on. We had the two boards that we cut the length we needed. Then he clamped it down so that he would be able to screw those on. He used his level also to make sure that it was level. Then he had to go lay on the ground to screw it in. So we just had a table that we were working on. This was the easiest way for him to screw it on, was just to go underneath like that. He also drilled holes first before he put the screws in this part as well. We have both of those pieces on. This is an old trim piece from our house that he's going to put on those boards, staple it on. You see we have the big piece on the end, the thick piece to help it stand up. It's measuring to make sure they're in the right spot, using the staple gun, which works really well for pieces like this. Got both sides in. We had to do a little modification. We're going to put another little piece of wood right there because the post was a little short. Once you get everything cut and put together and actually nailed together, we had a little bit of space on the bottom. So I like to save these old pieces of wood from different things. This one was actually from our bathroom remodel. It was a tongue and groove piece of wood. So he's cutting it, measuring it. He's going to notch it out so that it will just fit over the post. Sometimes you have to make modifications as you're putting these things together. So there's the little piece that he cut out and notched and put in. The post isn't nailed down yet, but we're just putting it all together to make sure it all fits. I like the way it's looking. So he's going to get the post screwed down. Of course, he needs to lay down. Good thing he's flexible, he can do this. Got it screwed in, and he's checking it just to make sure it's nice and sturdy. Looks good. Lots of different pieces of wood, different colors, but in the end, you'll see it all comes together. And here it is, all put together, and it actually does stand up on its own. But on the gravel, I had to put the milk can behind it. I did a little wood filler on some of the holes where the slats from the bed would have been, and on some of the screw holes from the original bed. So just put some wood filler in there, let it dry, then I'm going to sand it all up. You see we put a little piece of trim right underneath the shelf as well. That was an old piece of trim I had that had come from our house. And I'm going to paint it with chalk paint. I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum Chiffon Cream color. And it's going to look nice. So here it is with part of a first coat of paint. You'll see it will need probably 2 or 3 coats, but you can tell already it's all coming together. And it's going to look very cohesive, even though these are all different pieces of wood. See our clawfoot tub in the background? That's for a future project of an outdoor shower bathtub. That'll probably be in about a year or so before we get to that. So here's more coats of paint. Not quite done, it needs some more painting. Here it is finished. It took about 2 to 3 coats of paint. I like to get it nice and covered. Even though I'm going to distress it, I still like it to look nice and covered with the paint before I distress it. It's turning out really nice. I'm really excited. Starting to distress it, I just go along the edges and any little decorative grooves that are sticking out, and I just use some rough sandpaper and some fine sandpaper depending on what I want. Just do the curves. Still need to do the post legs. Now here the post legs are done. You can see the little bit of distressing on those. And then my final thing is to wax it. After I've distressed it, cleaned it off from the dust, then I will wax it. It is chalk paint, so it does need to have a finish over it to help it hold up. So I just used a wax that was made for a chalk paint. Love all the little details on this piece. Who would have known that that was a headboard? I put it in my little she shed to see what it would look like against the old barnwood, and I think it looks amazing. It would look good on any type of wall, but I especially love it against this barnwood in my she shed. If you haven't seen the video of the she shed, check that out. Here it is with some little decorative touches, simple touches, some candle sticks that I got at a thrift store that I painted up, some blue candles, a little flower arrangement I put together with things I got at a thrift store. It's just a simple touch, but it looks really nice. And then of course it was autumn when I made this, so I had to try it with my pumpkins. I used my white and green pumpkins. It looks amazing. This would be so cute decorated for Christmas also. I love the way it turned out. I hope you enjoyed the video and got some ideas for possibly making your own faux fireplace. I love the way it turned out. I hope you watch some of our other videos and see some of our other projects and our remodel and renovation of Maggie's cottage. And please subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.